Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. Lovely to see you all. Nice that we've spread onto the floor. Are you all right down there, Jeff?
I'm fine.
You're all right? Good. Okay. Topic for this week is defence. And this is it came to me as a subject a week or so ago. Normally it's all a bit last minute, and it will be Tuesday night. I think, oh, crikey, I need to think of something. I actually thought of this a while back, and it was following doing some therapy that I've been doing for somebody, and they had a particular issue, and I was thinking about it afterwards, and I realised that actually this issue had developed as a defence mechanism rather than anything else. So we'll explore that in a moment. We'll do an exercise first. It's always good to start with an exercise. So we'll do an exercise first. And we'll start with our standard. We'll start by having a little look around and just bringing our awareness to our vision and what we can see. And once you are comfortable that you have brought awareness to vision, you may close your eyes and shift your awareness to what you can feel. So start with being able to feel your head. Your head attached to a neck, balanced on the shoulders. Aware of any tension releasing from the neck, from the shoulders, down through the arms, down through the spine. Aware of being able to relax that part of the body. Aware of the position that you're holding your arms. And aware of being able to relax those arms. Aware of your bottom and your thighs in contact with the chair. Aware of your legs, the angle of the bend at the knee, down to your feet in contact with the floor. And aware of your ability to relax the muscles in the legs, down to the feet. Aware of tension draining out and down into the floor. Next, you can bring your awareness to smell. And aware of taste. And finally, bring awareness to sound. wanders, just bring the awareness back to listening. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. How are you finding that now? Because most of you have been coming for a number of times. How do you find that your mind is wandering a lot and for a long period of time, or are you finding it easier to bring the awareness to it?
Easier. It's much easier now.
Easier. Good. Good. Yeah. Good. Well, that's it. The more you do it, the easier it becomes, and the easier it is to just bring it back to that, to avoid the distraction. Or not avoid the distraction, but deal with the distraction when it happens. Yeah. Good. Good. Okay. So, yeah, defence. Over the years, I have attempted to help. I won't say I have helped, but I have attempted, I've done my best to help lots of people with lots of different issues that they may present when they come to see me. And a number of them, or a great deal of them, nearly all of them, it would seem, if you think about it, actually develop as defense mechanisms. For example, I've had numerous people that have come to see me for help with weight control, and it's not the reason that they are unable to take control of their weight is not because they don't know about diet and exercise. If I say to somebody, how do you lose weight? They go, oh, well, you have to eat sensibly and be active. You say, okay, off you go. Everybody knows that side of it, and then you then have to start digging around to try to understand, okay, if you know that that's how it is done, what is it that is preventing it from happening? What is the block? And often, I say often because more than one occasion, through hypnosis it's come out that there are two common themes that come out. One is that they're punishing themselves subconsciously, unconsciously, for some misdemeanor that they feel they have committed at some point in their life, or even that somebody has committed against them. I think I remember one lady, and her upbringing was not great, and her parents were very negative and quite abusive, and so she just continued because she'd grown up being abused, she just continued that herself unconsciously. Oh well, that's the way it is. I have to bully myself. Or people whose confidence, self-esteem is low, and so they punish themselves by sabotaging their efforts to gain control of their weight. So there's you see people sabotage. You also see, I have encountered a number of people who don't believe that they deserve to be happy. And it comes out through hypnosis, you ask them a specific question. Do you feel that you deserve to be happy? And they'll say no, for whatever reason it may be. They don't believe that they deserve to be happy. Because they don't deserve to be happy, they then sabotage any efforts that they may make in order to be happy through, losing the weight that they feel they should. They persist in staying overweight and being miserable because of that. And there are others. There are other, people that present with anxiety-related issues and things like that. There is always a block that prevents them from being happy, and so they remain anxious and remain stressed and depressed. And again, it's often because they feel that they don't deserve to be happy, or they punish themselves.
Do you draw that out of them when they're under your spell, so to speak?
Yeah, you bring it out through hypnosis. There's a fantastic technique which is an automatic response where you use digits, and you will say, I will ask a question, and if the answer is yes, you move, which finger will you move? And so they'll move a finger. Okay, that's the yes finger, and you say which means no, and they'll move the no finger. And because it's an automatic response, you get the truth, because there's often something that gets in the way between the brain and the mouth when they answer a question, and they think about it too long. Whereas if you just use something a little bit more automatic, they respond even before they've thought about it. And it's great, it works well, because they don't have to be in a really deep trance. Even if somebody is just laid in quite a light trance, it still works. And it's brilliant. It's amazing because the fingers never lie. The fingers never lie. So it comes out that way. For example, there was one lady that came to see me, and she had a fear of spiders. I may have mentioned her before. And she spoke incredibly enthusiastically and evocatively about this fear of spiders that she had. And she went into great detail about the ceremony and the procedure that she followed every day to ensure that there were no spiders in the bedroom or anywhere in the house. It completely overwhelmed everything that she thought and spoke about. And she said, I'll go to work and people will say, oh, I saw this big spider in the bath yesterday, and I thought of you. Anyway, I'd done a load of work with her, hypnotically, to try and get her to dispose of this fear. And she'd always, through asking the question with the finger, I'd said, are you ready to get rid of it? Flush it away. She said, and she answered, no, I'm not ready. And just a moment of, maybe just a little moment of inspiration, I just thought, she talks a lot about this. She seems to enjoy talking about it. And I said, are you hanging on to this fear because it gives you something to talk about? She went, yes. With the finger. I said, well, then you need to find something else to talk about. And then when I brought her out of the trance, she said, I can't believe that's what it was. She said, I can't believe that there must be something wrong. I can't believe that it was that finger that moved and not that one. I said, the fingers never lie. The fingers never lie. And then she stopped and said, no, you're right, I do. I go to work and people come and talk to me. because they've seen a spider, and and it just generates interest and puts her at the centre of things, and she liked the attention that it gave her. So the fingers never. So to answer your original question, Jez, that you asked about 10 minutes ago, it comes out through hypnosis, because you ask people, you say, do you feel that you deserve to be happy? And they'll say no. Are you sabotaging your own attempts to be happy? And they'll say yes. Because it's a defence mechanism. It's not. These things develop as an unconscious issue, and we think of them as a problem or as an issue. But actually, the reason that they develop is because they're a defence mechanism. If I sabotage my own efforts, if I what's the word I'm looking for? If I do that to myself, then I'm not reliant on somebody else doing it for me. If I abuse myself, then I'm defending myself against somebody else doing it. They can't do it to me. I'm pointing over there at you, Jason. You can't abuse me because I'm doing it to myself. Mm-hmm. It's a defence mechanism. It's me defending myself against abuse coming from somewhere else.
Like when people talk themselves down.
So
if they're talking themselves down, if no one else is going to be able to say, oh, but you're really not very good at maths, or you're not, because they've already said, oh no, I can't do maths. Or,
That's it.
Yeah.
Do they know they're doing that?
No, it's an unconscious thing, and maybe it stems from that primal survival process that happens within the brain. When many years ago we had to develop these techniques to avoid us being eaten by wild bears, or all that kind of stuff, trampled by woolly mammoths. But unfortunately, it's kind of almost a hangover of those days, because we don't. If we start thinking about it from a more mindful perspective, we don't need to defend ourselves against those things. If we are mindful, and we live in the present moment, and we accept whatever circumstance we find ourselves in the present moment, and are as non-judgmental, judgmental, as we are able to be, then we don't need to defend ourselves against that. And so the practice of mindfulness can enable us to dissolve and remove some of that unconscious activity that happens, which essentially is just defense mechanisms. And I'm sure if you start thinking about it, thinking about people you know, or even yourselves, there are probably habits, activities, thought processes that you go through which are essentially negative. People do it all the time, don't they? As you hinted at, Salsa, people will say, "Oh, well, I can't do that. I'm not good enough to be able to do that." So it's a defence against failure. If I convince myself that I can't do something and therefore don't try it, then I won't fail at it. And then that's a defence.
Or someone else to do it for you.
Yeah, that's it. Well, you've defended yourself from making a fool of yourself and failing at it.
Yeah.
And there's lots that happen like that. There's lots that happen like that. And then, after sort of thinking about the fact that actually the majority of issues that people have that are negative like that actually, if you look at it, are a form of defence. I started looking at there's a text a very famous text called The Art of War, which was written by a Chinese general, Sun Tzu, I think his name is. And it's a fantastic read. I mean, it was commissioned by the king at the time as a treatise on the art of combat, of winning battles, and how to approach war to be successful and win. And it got picked up by a lot of the sort of the business types and the marketing types and the financial wizards, because they're all very competitive and it's all about winning. And so they thought oh well, if we take up some of the knowledge that comes from the art of war, then we'll be more successful and we'll win the fight and earn more money. But actually, there's some really profound elements to it, which, if you read it and think about your own personal struggle that you may have, if you do have, an issue which is a form of defence, a defence mechanism, then that kind of implies that there's some kind of battle going on, there's some struggle. What is it that maybe you're at war with? But one of the most profound things within the art of war is one of the statements that's made right at the very beginning of the text. Before he gets into talking about strategy and before he gets into talking about, the mentality of your troops and leadership and all that kind of stuff, he says, war is expensive business. Financially, it's expensive. If you've got to send troops to wherever it is you've got to send them, and keep them supplied with all the stuff that they need to fight and live, and keep that going, send new supplies and send new troops and train armies and all the rest of it. There's an enormous expense to that. There is also the expense that comes in terms of the effect it has to your kingdom, to your country, to your land. Those that aren't fighting, there's still costs that are incurred to them. They still suffer. And there are not just financial costs. There are the other sides, the emotional costs, all the other things that go along with it. And so the very first thing that he states is, if at all possible, avoid going to war. Even if you have the most well-trained army with the fiercest fighters and the greatest generals with the finest military minds at your disposal, avoid going to war. Because if you can't guarantee a swift victory, the cost and the expense on numerous levels is just so huge that whilst you may win the war, but you may win the battle, ultimately you will lose, and you will lose so much more.
So Obama could do the cockpit.
Well, he's probably read it and then gone,
So, I read a news item on one occasion that said in all the years that Maggie Thatcher was in power, there was only one day where there wasn't a war somewhere in the world. And I thought, that is a terrible damnation on humankind, isn't it? That after all these years of civilisation, we still kill each other.
Yes.
And it's still going on.
Yes. Yes. because people don't read.
Yeah.
They don't read The Art of War before they start declaring it and proclaiming it. And so, to bring those two ideas together, we don't need, we can choose, that's a better phrase to use, we can choose to release ourselves from those defence mechanisms that maybe we develop. Consciously or unconsciously, generally it's unconsciously, but we can still make a conscious choice to relieve ourselves of those defence mechanisms if we follow Sun Tzu's advice, which is avoid going to war. Avoid going to war with yourself, because that is the most frequently fought battle. People go to war with themselves and it becomes this internal battle, this internal struggle. And whilst the costs of that war may not be financial, the physical, emotional and mental costs, the ravages of that war, can still be huge and scarring and damaging, and certainly more damaging than the defence mechanisms that are put in place as a consequence of that war being waged. So by being mindful and being aware and developing an awareness of the internal battle that is raging, you can do something about that, because that's another thing that is mentioned in the text, is the fact that the general cannot manage his troops if he is right in the midst of it. If he is in the middle of the battle, he can't understand the position. Similarly, if he's too far removed, if the king is in his castle, ways over there, he can't command the troops because he can't survey the position. The general, in order to determine the right strategy, needs to be far enough away to be able to observe and to be aware and see what's going on. And as Sun Tzu says, whilst you should avoid going to war at all costs, it's also important to know when to attack, when to retreat. Because many a war was lost by those people that didn't say, right, okay, enough boys, we're getting hammered down there, we need to regroup. And so by being mindful, you can be that with your, as you connect with your awareness, which adopts that position, doesn't it? Your awareness can see the thoughts, the feelings, and be aware of them. It adopts that position, that stance, just slightly removed, that can then enable you to make the correct choices, give you the insight. Okay. But read it. It's only small, but it's really interesting. And it's not just about.
It's amazing how long ago it was written as well.
It was thousands of years ago.
Right, that's the thing.
Or hundreds of years ago. I don't know, but it was certainly a long time ago.
Old.
Yeah, really old. But if you read there's certain versions of it that come with a commentary that talk about how it was developed, and when he was commissioned to write it, he started off by saying, anybody can be taught to fight. Anybody, you can make an army from anybody. It's just how you go about it. And he commanded the king to allow him to instruct his concubine. He had all these women that lived within the castle that were his concubine. And he gave them instruction and said, when I say turn right, you turn right. When I say turn left, you turn left. When I say this, you do that. This is the hand you hold your spear in. Blah 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 blah. All that. Get it? And they all went, got it. So he assembled them in front of him, and he said, right, turn left. And they just giggled. Okay. Turn right. And they giggled again. So he said, right, you two, the leaders of the concubine, you come forward, you will be beheaded. And the king went, hang on a minute, they're my favourites. And Sun Tzu said, no, you instructed me to do this. They will be beheaded. And they were. They were beheaded there and then. And he said, right, next two, you step forward, you're in charge now. Right, troops, turn left. Turn right. and so that, we laugh about it, but the way that it is, he was a very, very acute man. I think the insight that he had was very, he understood humankind in there. Yeah, so read it. Anyway.
There is on a similar one, I am talking about it, I'm aware of it, I don't want to dominate.
It's all right, Jez.
John Kabat-Zinn or Mark Williams, they do a 1 minute, 3 minute meditation. Probably done it, and other people might know it, and it's bringing your awareness to, if you're going through something, any time of the day, if you're struggling. Bring your thoughts to your thoughts. It's actually an hour class, or like an egg time, if you like. And the first bit of it, for the minute, it's 3 minutes. The first minute is what you're thinking, and your breathing. You're thinking. I think. So you're processing. Don't process. I'm thinking this. I'm thinking that. I'm thinking. You could be struggling with something. And the middle bit is what your feelings, how what your actual feelings are about things. And the third one is the bottom of the egg timer is just breathing with the thoughts and feelings, something like that. And then after the 3 minutes, what action you're going to take, whether it be I need to relax and make a cup of tea, or I need to make a phone call, or whatever.
That's it. And that through mindfulness, often people don't stop to be aware of those thoughts and feelings. They just allow them to run riot through the body, through the mind. Whereas if you do stop, allow them to happen, accept that they are there, then just observe them and be aware of them. Then a number of things happen. One is you actually see them for what they are, which often is just the fact that they are just ideas and thoughts in your head. But also you begin to realise that they don't actually hold any power over you. And also you can begin to, when you allow your awareness to settle on the thoughts and also the feelings, you begin to understand a little bit about where those feelings are maybe coming from, and you realise that actually they're not connected to those thoughts. I think that it's this that's making me feel this way, but the reality is it's different. I actually feel this about that, and these feelings are coming from somewhere else, and it all starts to, that's why I say when we do the listening or the breathing, if your mind wanders, it's okay. Actually be aware of where it's wandered to. Because when you are sat and just breathing, that's when, and you're relaxed and you're in the moment, and then the mind goes off. The places that it goes off to will often be those elements that are troubling. Sometimes it will be complete nonsense. Sometimes it will be, must remember to pick up some sugar puffs on the way home. I don't eat sugar puffs, but which is nice. If all you do have to worry about is sugar puffs or milk, then great. But often, but sometimes it will be the other stuff. That's that maybe you worry about finance. I know it's a hot topic for many people. And so, often, I've been there, I've been guilty of it myself, and it kind of bubbles away at the surface and it sticks its head up every now and again. And sort of says, you haven't got enough money. But if you suppress it and you try and dismiss it, whereas actually what you need to do is be aware of it. And so that you can go, actually, no, I haven't got enough money, but I've got a roof over my head, I've got shoes on my feet, the kids aren't starving, so what am I really worried about? For some people, they don't, it's harder. Maybe they don't have shoes on their feet, but then if you're mindful and you have some intelligence to you, then you're able to take opportunities and create opportunities. If you just allow the worry to be there, you don't ever see any opportunities or create any opportunities. If all you have is worry, then there's no opportunities. But as soon as you shift, then you will realise that actually opportunities present themselves. And so if there is something that's bothering you, as you become more mindful, opportunities to deal with that and conquer that and win the war, taking it back to so that will present themselves. That's all right. Let's breathe consciously. Breathing time. So you may close your eyes if you wish and bring your awareness to your breath. And we begin by just following the three components of the breath. We breathe in, we breathe out, and then there is a pause. And just follow each of those elements as it happens moment by moment. Breathe in, breathe out, and then pause. And if the mind wanders, be aware of where it's wandered to and then bring the attention back to the breath. Breathing in, we make the connection. Breathing in, we connect with our body. We connect with the present moment. Breathing in, we feel alive. Breathing out, we smile at life. And we feel it not just at the mouth, but also within our being. We just allow the smile to happen. Breathing in, we feel alive. Breathing out, we allow that smile, which is always there, to just come to the surface. And then we allow that smile to just rest within the stillness of the pause between breaths. Breathing in, we feel alive. Breathing out, we smile at life. And in the pause, we allow that smile to rest. Thank you very much.